she was different from any of the girls at my school. Besides being obviously beautiful, she was super smart, took all AP classes, and was funny. She was kind-hearted, and our deep conversations could last for hours, and most nights they did. It had been a few weeks now, and Kayla was ready for us to meet. She appreciated me taking the time to really get to know her and talk to her, but she was ready for a face-to-face. I had to figure out a way to come clean and clear up this mess I put myself in. I had it all planned out. It was the last game of the season. I was going to go to the game, and after the game I was going to meet with Kayla face-to-face and come clean about everything, beg for her forgiveness for lying, be honest about my insecurities and my shyness with girls, and how having a fake pic of a guy that I admired and looked up to the most gave me the courage to actually be myself. And everything that I said was 100% me. I could see everything playing out perfectly in my head. She would forgive me, and maybe even transfer schools to be with me. I wasn't sure how I would get her parents to get on board with that last plan, but I'm sure I could come up with some convincing pros. Hey, I wasn't captain of the debate team for nothing. Kayla and I had made plans to finally meet after Friday night's game. The next morning, I was so hyped on my way to school. I was meeting Kayla that day, and I was also finally ready to tell my best friend Tyree all about the mystery girl that I met online and have been texting and calling ever since. I even wanted to come clean about using Tyree's picture. I was sure Tyree was going to tell his brother Frankie, and they were going to clown me to no end, but it was okay, because I was sure it would all be worth it, especially after they saw how amazing Kayla was. Everything was going to turn out great after the game that night. I just knew it. Tyree was going to play our rival team, and after we beat them, I was going to meet my future wife, and I would have my best friend Tyree by my side for moral support. On my way out the door, that morning, I received a call from Tyree. I said, "I'm on my way over. Calm your nerves. I'm not even late." "You're always late, loser," Frankie said in his deep baritone voice. He told me he was on his way out, and it would just be the two of us riding to school that morning because Tyree was sick in bed with the flu. I waited by Frankie's ride while he handed Ty the phone. Ty picked up the phone and said, "What up, oh?" with a real raspy voice sounding horribly ill. "Tyree Jamal Harris, I told you to stop kissing on them fast-tail girls," I said, imitating Mama T's voice. He laughed. Well, it was more of a laugh, cough, and sneeze mixture. "Get some rest, boy. I'll make sure to get all your work from your classes, thanks, bro," is all he could muster up the strength to say. On the ride to school, I thought about telling Frankie what was up, but wanted to tell Tyree first. He would kill me if he was the last to know. So it will have to be my little secret for a bit longer. As we arrived at school, I texted Kayla again for the third time that morning. No reply. I hope she was not getting cold feet or trying to ghost your boy. Just before I walked into my first period AP chemistry class, I received a call from an unknown number. I started to ignore it as usual, but thought, maybe it would be Kayla, or maybe I was praying it would be. The good thing is, it was her. She said her phone was stolen out of her gym bag at their morning pep rally at her school. Stolen? Yeah, she said her friend Keisha told her that she saw Jason over by the cheer bags, but didn't think anything of it. So it's possible he may have her phone. She said she was going to report it to their front office that morning, but was using her friend's phone to call me, so she could hear my voice before class started. I was really feeling her vibe. I really couldn't concentrate toward the end of class, because I started to think, what if Jay Boogie really did have Kayla's phone? I remember texting her that morning how much I couldn't wait to meet her, and that I would be waiting by the restroom and concession stands on our school side at the end of the game. I remember her texting me last night, before she went to sleep, how she was so glad I DM'd her that day. Her phone was filled with our text messages and our DM chats. Whoever had her phone had access to all our private conversations. Later that day at lunch, I was able to sit and talk to Kayla on the phone. She received her phone back. She stated it was just sitting in her locker when she went to put her bag away at lunchtime. She did report it to the front office, and she said Jason was questioned by the assistant principal, and hours later it was returned. We both found it hard to believe that was by coincidence. What actually surprised me was what Kayla said next. She said, next to her phone there was a note that read, "I know everything. No name or anything." Kayla said she recognized the handwriting to be Jason's. She also mentioned that my name in her phone was changed from Omar to Dead Man Walking. I wasn't worried about his threats, but I hated that Kayla had to deal with her psycho ex. She stated that his bark was louder than his bite. I assured her that I wasn't worried, but maybe I should have been. Later that day, I couldn't help but think how my whole plan was beginning to fall apart. Tyree wasn't able to go to the game with me that night because he was still feeling awful. We usually go to every game together to support Frankie. I was also starting to let J Boogie's subliminal threats play tricks on my mind. Yeah, he was a well-known gang member, but it's not like he knew who I really was or would ever find out until Kayla and I were ready to come out as an official couple. Right now, we were only talking and getting to know one another. Once we became serious enough, there is no way some wannabe thug was going to keep me from dating the girl of my dreams. What's the worst that could happen? We fight? Okay. It wouldn't be the first time someone thought they could try me, and I'm sure it wouldn't be the last. Frankie's game was epic, and the win was a victory worth celebrating. Both teams played a great game, but because of Frankie the Goat Harris, our team was victorious. I watched the game all the way through with Tyree on the phone, giving him a play-by-play. Disappointed that he couldn't be there, I had to go when I got a call from my mom saying she was outside and I needed to come out now. She sounded upset. On my way out, I had to text Kayla and unfortunately cancel our meetup. She texted me back and said it was okay and that we could reschedule. It just so happens that some of the cheerleaders got in trouble for bringing alcohol to the game, and everyone was ordered to get back on the bus immediately, so she wasn't going to be able to meet up anyway. Turns out, my mom was really upset about me leaving to go to the game without doing my chores first. I was so distracted by the idea of seeing Kayla in person and trying to figure out a way to explain how and why I lied to her, that I forgot to handle my business at home first. The next morning, I decided I had to make things right. Starting by telling the truth. I would start with Tyree and confess to him what I did. No matter how much he and Frankie were going to make fun of me for being a wuss and simping over some female. Right after that thought, I received a call from Tyree stating that Frankie didn't come home that night and he and his mom were worried. I grabbed my coat and went over immediately. After the news about Frankie, I was devastated and couldn't believe he was gone. I sat there in silence with Tyree and Mama T for what seemed like forever. The next morning on the news, there was a report of the 3 guys who were caught on camera. They were arrested for assaulting Frankie to the point of death. 2 of the guys looked familiar, some dudes from around the way. They were basketball players on the rival team last night, but the 3rd guy was too familiar. So I paused the television and got a closer look at the 3rd and final guy who was responsible for the death of my best friend's brother. It was none other than J Boogie himself. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. This was all my fault. Tyree deserved the truth and he deserved to hear it from me. Always Omar.